last night. DiJonai.
And then she put both hands up.
They would have been chucked. Like, of all places, you're not getting away with saying anything that's crossing a line in San Fran. So DiJonai, by the looks of things, the likelihood of the scenario is she's just asking a heckler to leave. So she's gone, and it's a random heckler joking with people behind them, and then was told to step back, leave, but immediately came back.
Tossed her ass out. She was walking by. Hey, those are fake nails. She panicked. Hey, get this guy out of here, folks. Rumor has it she was running up and down the court.
DiJonai Carrington just tried to have a fan removed from an arena after allegedly hearing him mention Sophie Cunningham's name. And once security actually investigated what happened, the accusation reportedly didn't hold up. At this point, it is becoming harder to treat every controversy surrounding Carrington as one isolated incident or one unfortunate misunderstanding. When similar situations keep appearing within such a short period of time, people naturally start connecting them. And the deeper you look into this latest episode, the more difficult it becomes to simply dismiss everything as coincidence, bad timing, or another moment that was supposedly taken out of context.
Y'all look at y'all favorite player.
Went over to one of the officials, as you see Sarah Williams there.
She trying to make it seem like a fan did something crazy to her, right? While I watch.
At the moment.
Look at what y'all looking at. They going to talk to that dude. They been trying to make him leave, right? She trying to get somebody kicked out. So he getting up. He end up leaving, right? He end up leaving. So they got to investigate. They got to investigate. Now look at the fourth quarter. Look at who you see back 10 out there. He's sitting right there. That's him right there.
This latest situation unfolded during the Skies matchup with the Golden State Valkyries, only a few nights after the Cunningham controversy had already pushed Carrington into the center of non-stop discussion across social media. The game had reached the fourth quarter. Play was moving normally, and viewers were focused on the basketball when suddenly the broadcast shifted attention towards security personnel stepping onto the floor. There had been no fight between players, no confrontation that spilled into the stands, and no pushing match that normally explains why arena personnel would interrupt a professional game in progress. Instead, the stoppage appeared to come from something happening between Carrington and a spectator near the court.
I said this before, I'm going to say this again. The WNBA will continue to be a walking L because of the players who represent the league and some of the policies that they can't get right. But let's take DiJonai, for example. The same one who clotheslined Sophie, and then after she was ejected, went to social media and said, white privilege. She wanted a fan in front row gone for reasons we do not know, but later on he was able to come back to his seat because they deemed what he said as not offensive. So here's the kicker. You want to kick out fans, and you struggle to bring in fans. Unless you're Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Angel Wilson, or one of these big-time markets, you struggle to bring in fans. So kicking out fans is not going to be the answer to grow the brand.
Carrington approached an official and pointed toward a fan sitting close to the action, apparently claiming that the spectator had said something inappropriate. Even the USA Network announcers calling the game seemed uncertain at first about exactly why everything had stopped. They explained to viewers that both team security and arena security had become involved, while Carrington went directly to referee Sarah Williams to make her complaint. So in the middle of a nationally televised game, with thousands watching inside the arena and many more following from home, Carrington's allegation became serious enough that security personnel began dealing directly with a paying fan in the stands.
It's now at the stage where I'm pretty confident these players are just any sort of heckling, they're getting a fan kicked out. And again, if you are a player, do you enjoy getting heckled? No. Like, I don't think any player enjoys getting heckled. That being said, like, if you're gonna go and get a fan kicked out, they better have done something serious. And again, look who's sitting around him and think about where he is. There is no way in hell he said something across the line. There is no way. And this is a team known for heckling.
And then viewers watched the situation escalate right in front of them. Security approached the spectator, removed him from his seat, and escorted him away in full view of the crowd and television cameras. All because of something that apparently nobody else nearby could clearly confirm hearing. That is where the story becomes especially strange. Reports afterward did not describe this person as a disruptive fan who had spent the night screaming abuse toward players, threatening anyone, or repeatedly crossing obvious boundaries that arenas routinely deal with. Instead, reports suggested the controversy may have started because he said Sophie Cunningham's name. Nothing resembling a racial insult was publicly established, no threat was confirmed, and no language was ultimately identified that would normally justify removing someone from a seat they had purchased at a professional sporting event. If those reports are accurate, simply mentioning Cunningham became enough for Carrington to interrupt the game and ask officials to take action against a spectator.
And see, these are the type of games that they play when they in the wrong, right? And it's not a coincidence that this stuff has happened, because she's been dirty forever, but has she been getting people kicked out like that, or attempting to get people kicked out like that? No. Now all of a sudden, now it's time to start kicking people out. Man, it's crazy. But hey, this is y'all favorite player. This is who y'all stand behind. This is who y'all like. This is what y'all tell me in the comments. So if y'all like destruction, well, hey, I love it then. Hey, if that's what we doing, if y'all like it, I love it. But it does get to a point to where one could be making a fool out of themselves by always starting stuff and being aggressive, but then at the same time always being the one playing the victim. It's a lot of that going on in the WNBA. The most
Consider how unusual that is. Fans absolutely can cross boundaries, and when somebody becomes threatening, abusive, or disruptive, security should step in immediately. Players deserve protection from genuine harassment just like anyone else. But according to the information that came out afterward, that does not appear to be what officials ultimately determined happened here. Instead, a professional athlete heard something she believed was inappropriate, stopped during a live game, and used her position on the court to bring security into the situation. News outlets quickly began covering the incident, and much of the reaction focused less on the fan and more on whether Carrington had overreacted. That criticism became even louder because this controversy arrived after several other incidents involving her, causing each news story to blend into the next before the previous one had even disappeared.
DiJonai Carrington claimed that fan did something worthy of him being kicked out of the arena. So the security guards take the fan back and give some sort of interrogation back in the concourse. And then what happened? Oh, and there you have it. About 5 minutes later, the fan is back in his courtside seat as if nothing happened at all. Now, we all know it was probably her claiming he said some sort of racial slur. I think maybe he might have said something about how stupid her wig looked. I mean, you know these types of women. Whenever they say something about their wigs, they always wig out. But either way, the fan was back in his seat 5 minutes later, and it was just another L for DiJonai Carrington.
The most important development came after security actually investigated the complaint instead of relying only on what had initially been alleged. The fan was eventually allowed to return. He had been escorted away while arena officials reviewed what happened, but after looking into the matter, they permitted him to go back to his seat and continue watching the game. A Valkyrie's representative later told reporters that the spectator had cooperated with security throughout the process and that the complaint was determined to be unfounded. That wording matters. Officials were not saying the evidence remained uncertain or that the matter was still being quietly reviewed. They reportedly concluded there was not enough there to support removing him permanently. In other words, security checked the situation, gathered what information they could, and ultimately found no reason to keep the man away from the seat he had paid for.
Softest sport imaginable. Seriously. Yeah. This is a courtside fan. It's like, bleep it. I'm going. Look at this woman laughing. I mean, it's hilarious. It's hilarious. That fan can't stay, but I can poke all the white girls in the eyeballs I want. All of them. Oh, start lining up white girls for me to poke in the eyeball.
Now put the entire sequence together. Carrington interrupted a live WNBA game, brought both team and arena security into the matter, and a spectator was escorted away while cameras captured everything. Then, after officials reviewed what had happened, that spectator was allowed back because the complaint was reportedly considered unfounded. That is a significant accusation to get wrong when a person's reputation is suddenly being questioned in front of an arena and a television audience. Under circumstances like these, people naturally expect some explanation afterward about what Carrington believed she heard, what specifically made her feel security intervention was necessary, and whether she felt differently once the investigation did not support the complaint. Instead, there has been little public clarification explaining exactly what caused the situation or how she views it now that the fan was returned to his seat.
2024, during the Indiana Fever.
She's just always been dirty, and it's like, a lot of this has to be intentional, because there's no way that you continue to do this and it's just a mistake. That's from when she gave Caitlyn a black eye. I never seen nobody, and y'all tell me if I'm wrong, I never seen nobody go up with their hands to block a ball and then come down like this and go right into the eye. I've never seen it, and there's no way you can convince me that that wasn't intentional. Just like in the first clip when she hit Skylar Diggins. She knows she couldn't get that ball. She just hit the girl all in the face, and then Skylar fell to the ground. Like, come on, man. At some point, we got to call it for what it is.
Part of the reason public patience appears thinner now is that this latest controversy is being viewed alongside older moments from Carrington's career. Footage from the 2024 playoffs quickly began circulating again, showing Carrington making contact with Caitlin Clark's eye while battling for possession near the sideline during her time with the Connecticut Sun. At the time, the play sparked debate before eventually disappearing from the conversation as the league moved on to other stories. But when old footage resurfaces directly after several new controversies, people naturally start comparing everything together. What might once have been interpreted as an isolated basketball accident now gets examined alongside more recent incidents, and critics begin asking whether there is a recurring pattern involving physical contact followed by strong disagreement whenever Carrington is questioned about the way a play unfolded.
We have a photo from the flagrant 2 on DiJonai Carrington against Sophie Cunningham, where she proceeded to go into the locker room and tweet white privilege after being thrown out of the game. I'm not going to comment on that situation, but I will say this. This is a flagrant 2. Black, white, Asian, Hispanic, don't matter. This is a flagrant. I mean, she clotheslined her. What more do you want? So this looks very bad. It just shows that the WNBA is nowhere near where they need to be professionally, because again, this is a clothesline. It's flagrant 2.
And the current wave of controversy really began only days earlier with the collision involving Sophie Cunningham. During a fast break attempt, Carrington made heavy contact around Cunningham's head and neck area as Cunningham went toward the basket. Officials immediately stopped play and reviewed the sequence. After looking at the replay, they assessed Carrington a flagrant 2, which automatically ended her night. That distinction is important because a flagrant 1 allows a player to remain in the game, while a flagrant 2 means officials judged the contact severe enough to warrant an ejection. Cunningham hit the floor hard, but still managed to finish the scoring play, despite being knocked off balance. Carrington, meanwhile, was sent to the locker room before the game had even reached halftime, forcing her team to continue without her.
So let me get this straight. You get ejected for a flagrant foul, and then you scream white privilege? Somebody please explain this one to me. DiJonai Carrington was ejected today from the Fever Sky game after officials assessed a flagrant 2 foul involving Sophie Cunningham. But here's where the story absolutely exploded. Afterward, Carrington went to social media and wrote on her post, "white privilege," and tagged the Indiana Fever to boot. Now hold on, let's just forget politics for a second and forget which player you like for a moment. If officials have determined that you committed a flagrant foul, and it must have been pretty bad because they ejected you from the game, How does the conversation suddenly become about somebody else's race?
Only minutes after that ejection, Carrington went to social media and posted the phrase "white privilege" while tagging the Indiana Fever. But she did not clearly explain what the message was referring to. Was she criticizing the officials for ejecting her? Was she talking specifically about Cunningham? Was she making a broader argument about how different players are treated across the league? Those questions immediately dominated the conversation because the post itself offered no context. Carrington did not provide a detailed explanation that night, and the ambiguity allowed the internet to interpret the message in multiple ways. Instead of the conversation staying focused on the basketball play and the flagrant 2 decision, the post opened an entirely different controversy that continued long after the final buzzer.
Sophie Cunningham had taken out a black player, had clotheslined her just like we saw there, and then had immediately gone to the locker room and tweeted "black privilege" when she was kicked out of the game. How quickly do you think the WNBA would have reacted? I doubt she would have been allowed to play for the rest of the year. This is an example of straight up, blatant, I think, racist behavior from the WNBA.
Cunningham, despite being the player who took the contact, responded much differently when reporters asked about the situation. She said she did not believe the incident was about race and pointed out that she herself had committed a similar type of play in the past, received an ejection, and believed that punishment had been deserved. That response stood out because she acknowledged that when she had crossed the line previously, officials were justified in removing her. Whether someone likes Cunningham or not, there was a clear acceptance of responsibility in that explanation. That contrast became part of the larger public debate. Cunningham was able to discuss an earlier mistake directly, while Carrington's social media reaction after her own ejection created more questions without providing enough detail for people to understand exactly what she believed had gone wrong.
DiJonai Carrington complained to security about a fan and got them kicked out of the game. The fan was later allowed back into the arena because the complaint was BS, a professional victim.
Carrington also just said something there. The conversation with a fan sitting on the sideline, as it should be.
Solid representation along with the 96 U.S. women's basketball team.
When you combine all of these events, the reason the conversation around Carrington has become so intense starts to make more sense. First came the flagrant 2 ejection that ended her night. Then came the white privilege post that generated an enormous reaction without ever being fully explained. After that came the attempt to have a spectator removed during the Valkyries game, only for officials to later allow that fan back after the complaint was reportedly found to be unfounded. 3 separate controversies have now occurred within roughly the same short stretch, and each one has produced criticism that Carrington's initial reaction did not line up cleanly with the evidence people later saw. And even that Valkyries game contained more moments that added fuel to the debate beyond the fan situation alone.
Here's the thing. Why is DiJonai Carrington even in this game? This all could have been avoided if the league suspended her, as they should have, for the flagrant 2 foul against Sophie Cunningham. But no, that never happened. Also, the league never did anything about the posting on social media after she was ejected. That's against WNBA policy. She broke a rule. But guess what? No suspension, no fine, nothing. What kind of message does the WNBA continue to send? Why do they have rules? So DiJonai Carrington shouldn't even been in this game. But there she was, and there she is, making contact dangerously with opposing players.
Carrington was also assessed a technical foul during the 4th quarter after arguing with officials, and offensively, she struggled badly, finishing just 1 of 9 from the field. Then clips from the same game began circulating online, showing separate moments where she appeared to make hard contact around the head area of 2 different opponents. Those plays immediately drew comparisons with the Cunningham collision from only days earlier. Basketball fans flooded social media with criticism, with some calling Carrington dangerous to play against and questioning why repeated contact around the head did not result in stronger punishment. Others focused on her long nails and argued that players should be required to keep them shorter when competing because accidental contact near another player's face or eyes can become more dangerous. Intent is much harder to determine from television footage alone, and nobody watching remotely can know what Carrington intended during every play. But from the perspective of critics, the frequency of these moments has made it increasingly difficult to dismiss each one as completely unrelated bad luck.
Can you imagine sitting and watching four women talk about women's basketball? How is that a show? There is no way they get more than 60 or 70 viewers at most at a time. Like, there's just no possible way. But anyway, she says, well, it's just how she plays, right? She shows a bunch of clips, by the way, of this DiJonai, whatever the hell her name is, not doing the thing that she's seen in the video. So it's actually, she's sort of proving the point accidentally, because it's a bunch of clips of her actually blocking shots of other players who happen to be black players. And then with the white player, she hits her right in the neck. But this is what we're supposed to believe. She's always out there trying to murder the other team's players. It's nothing personal. It's just how she plays. It's a totally legitimate move. You just place your arm around the opposing player's airway and their eyes, and then you violently pull in the opposite direction of their momentum. Sometimes you might mess up the maneuver a little bit, and someone may lose an eye or break their neck, but what can you do? That's just basketball, right? It's all for the love of the game.
It's not just... That is why this story has grown into something much larger than one spectator being temporarily removed from his seat. The issue for Carrington's critics is the repeated sequence they believe they are seeing. Controversy happens, blame immediately shifts somewhere else, and a full explanation rarely follows once more information becomes available. A hard foul becomes a debate about officiating. A provocative social media message generates headlines without later clarification. A fan near the court becomes the subject of a security complaint. And when arena officials reportedly determine that complaint is unfounded, there is no major public correction from Carrington explaining what she thought happened. Then attention moves immediately toward the next game, the next disputed play, and the next controversy. Whether every incident deserves the criticism it receives is open to debate, but the accumulation of incidents is clearly shaping how fans now interpret anything involving her.
At some point, the WNBA front office is going to have to admit this chick is intentionally targeting the face. Here's Mick. I don't even know how you do this intentionally. The ball is behind her, and she went for the ball with her right hand while clawing her in the face with her left hand. Yeah. White girls are only 15% of the WNBA, but seem disproportionately targeted by DiJonai, the condiment made by mixing mayonnaise and Dijon mustard. Fair enough. Another dirty play by DiJonai. I wonder, is this white privilege as well? Does this qualify as white privilege? Ooh, this is more like DiJonai fatigue.
Meanwhile, Cunningham has continued taking a noticeably different approach throughout this stretch. She absorbs physical contact, gets back up, continues playing through the boos that have followed her into different arenas, and when discussing situations where she herself has clearly crossed a line in the past, she has been willing to acknowledge it publicly. That contrast is a major reason fan sentiment has shifted so sharply over the last several weeks. Nobody is arguing that Carrington should stop competing aggressively. Physical, disruptive defense has always been one of the qualities that made her effective throughout her career. And tough basketball is part of the league. But there is an important difference between aggressive defense and repeatedly being involved in plays where an opponent's head or face takes contact. There is also a major difference between disagreeing with a referee's decision and asking security to remove a stranger from an arena over a complaint that, after investigation, reportedly could not be supported. And until Carrington directly addresses why these moments keep surrounding her, the questions are probably going to keep getting louder.